A fox hunt on snowmobiles? Well, not exactly. These men are part of a team of conservationists. Their job is to capture the fox without hurting him. It's a tricky job. Before the snowmobile, this was a long, time-consuming task, requiring snares which caused considerable damage to most of the animals trapped. Once caught, the fox is checked for disease, tagged, and released. For certain men, the snowmobile issues a siren's call. Wherever it snows, trophies are offered to those who push a little harder, dare a little further. For what is demanded, the prizes seem pitifully meager, yet what they represent is, for a few, irresistible. The track is oval, banked a quarter of a mile. These modified snowmobiles are capable of speeds over 80 miles an hour. The strategy is simple. Hold the throttle wide open, and if you can hang on through 4 laps, you might win. The favorite event for those in the grandstand is jumping. Off this incline ramp, Polaris has jumped more than 84 feet. The oval track brings out the crowds, and in the late afternoon sun, the hero of the moment can loom large. But it's not the oval track that grabs the imagination and sends it flying. Of all the various forms of snowmobile racing, it is the cross-country which demands the most. The distance can vary. The location will shift from week to week. But it's in the never-changing constants where one can find the real challenge. This race is from Winnipeg, Canada to St. Paul, Minnesota. 4 days, 500 miles. The starters go off, wave after wave. All are filled with anticipation. At the start of a race, there are no losers. Here is a gauntlet for a man. Temperatures below zero, winds from off 1,000 miles of Canadian plain, riverbeds, ditches. One man, one machine, alone against another. Alone against the worst nature can divine. Each track will tell its own story. A man who quits because it gets too tough. Others who will suffer frostbite, blisters, fatigue, pain, only to be stopped by a perverted twist of fate. 123 will start. 14 will finish. In this race, the lucky ones break down first. 50 machines will not make it off the river, yet running on the river is easy compared to what lies ahead. Leaving the river, the racers must now look for trail markers. But bouncing along at 50 miles an hour, the little red arrows are hard to see. An hour and a half and 80 miles from Winnipeg, the racers must stop for gas. The activity at the gas stop is frantic. Hoods come on. Gas tanks are filled. Coffee go. It's Indianapolis and Riverside at 10 below. The drivers must make all adjustments and repairs themselves. Each driver is docked a minute. Enough time to change a spark plug, check a drive belt. The drivers talk of near misses, of others still out on the tundra, and of a young man on machine number 23 who has driven 75 of the first 80 miles on one ski. Using his body to counterbalance, Robert Soderberg refuses to quit. The skiless nub jars his body at every bump, yet he holds the delicate balance and urges the machine on. The torturous vibrations loosen the motor mounts, his aching hands numb in the freezing cold. Soderberg will run for 140 miles before darkness ends his trek. While Soderberg struggles, others arrive at the border. "80 miles away, Crookston, and the end of the first day. The drivers now reach down deep to find that little extra. Pass another machine, gain on the leaders, shake off fatigue. The sooner you get there, the sooner it's over." The satisfaction of completing the first day can be savored for but a moment. There is work to be done. At night, the machines are checked. The engine cannot be repaired, but other parts can be changed. Bolts tightened, spark plugs replaced. Spectators mill around with drivers and mechanics as less than 40 machines get ready for the second day. Bruises and bumps unfelt during yesterday's excitement have this morning settled into sharp, persistent throbs. Muscles ache, skin burns as frostbite is reacquainted with the cold. Another 150 miles, another day to race. The mind and body seek to protect themselves. Everything goes numb. The distance clicks by. The mind is lulled by the unreality of it all. Ahead, the halfway gas stop. A minute's rest, And questions. How many have gone through? Who's ahead? Questions. How do you feel? Is everything all right? Answers. Half heard. Encouragements. A yell. Another 80 miles to go. The 4 lead machines are ahead of schedule and through the gas stop before the supply truck arrives. All they can do is keep going and await the inevitable. Out of gas. The drivers wait for help. Plain gas will not work in their 2-cycle engines. Help arrives after a 20-minute delay. The lead has been lost. The drivers must now push beyond the limit to make up the lost time. Number 124, Randy Heights, is out of the lead for the first time. He will get it back, but not without considerable effort. The drivers get a break. The course has been routed over some hard Minnesota roads. For 20 miles, they run wide open. For some, it is the first time. Park Rapids ends the second day. The 2 days seem like 2 months, and there are still 200 miles to go. One of the racers is a Catholic priest from Roseau, Minnesota, Father Timothy Noah. By day, he drives with the best. At night, he works on his machine.
Well, I'm just running it for the sport of the dog. Yeah. I just want to make the whole course. I'd like that myself. Yeah, just for the fun of it.
Each morning, before the race, he fulfills a greater vow.
You who take away the sins of the world, receive our prayer. You who sit at the right hand of the Father, have mercy on us. For you alone are holy, you alone are Lord, you alone, O Jesus Christ, our Most High, with the Holy Spirit, in the glory of God the Father. Amen. The Lord be with you.
On the third day, the sun does not shine. The mood of the racers has changed. Only 20 left, and they all feel the worst is over. The first part of the day will be on the hard roads. Some think the rest of the way might be easy. Some know better. The hard roads end. the ditches and backcountry returns, the roughest part of the race. In racing, individuals stand out. Drivers are called good, others great. But Randy Heights, he's something else. Machine and driver become one, and the fierce Minnesota countryside punishes both. Heights refuses to let up. He can only drive one way, wide open. He must finish first. He will not tolerate less. The snowmobile is thrown into the side of a culvert. Heights seems to lift the machine over bumps and driveways. Like a wild animal under a cruel trainer, the snowmobile fights the dominant hand. Knees, twisted and wrenched in 100 spills, demand relief. But their respite is brief, as a stronger will, whipped by a need to win, throws man and machine at yet another obstacle. After more than 300 miles of abuse, the partnership ends. The snowmobile is only a machine. A minor part gives out. Repair assistance is not allowed. Less than a mile from the finish line, Heights is out. The cautious ones move up. But all know this is the only way you pass Randy Heights. Only 14 machines are ready to start the last day. The course has been shortened to a 25-mile sprint across frozen Lake Mille Lacs in central Minnesota. The real race is over. For a snowmobile manufacturer like Polaris, racing is an important aspect of their testing. Nowhere else will machines receive the poundings which are endured in a 4-day race like this. More Polaris machines finish than any other type. And for the manufacturer, and eventually for the consumer, as much can be learned from the machines which did not finish as from those that did.